Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Building with Dutch. A lot of the time, it's really hard for people to learn how to build, towns, cities, villages, the likes. In this video, I'm going to show y'all how to do proper town management, planning, and how to set out your pathways. Enjoy the vid. Alright, so when you're building a village, one of the first things that you need is a whole lot of space. So one of the first steps that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to clear out the area. If you're building in a forest, that's what you're going to need to do. If you're building in like plains biome or savanna, just any large open biome, you really don't need to clear out the trees, but I prefer to build in the forest or like in a valley because I feel like a lot of the time if I'm building something and there's a whole lot of empty space around it, it feels kind of insignificant and a lot smaller than the area around it. And it just feels less important by comparison. So first you're going to clear out the trees to get some space for your roads, your paths, your buildings. Try to keep it tight to where the area would fit snugly within. But if you want to widen it out a bit, like up toward the left of the clearing I made here, I might widen it a bit and put in a crop field to, expand it and make it feel a bit more open in some areas. Because you want it to be open, but you don't want it to be so open that it feels like everything around it is more important. Next up, you're going to do some terraforming. You're going to smooth out the ground for your buildings. You don't have to do this, but it helps because, no one wants weird looking ground. And you just want to smooth out the terrain to make it as subtle a transition as possible, but try not to make it too flat, otherwise it'll look a little weird. Once you've terraformed, you can add back some grasses, but I'd recommend doing that after you make your buildings. Alright, and yeah, once you've done that, you just want the area to feel not isolated, but separate from the surrounding area. Here I'm smoothing up this hill and trying to make it I'm gonna put a path here at that cliff face and make it go up the hill, and I'm just trying to make that as smooth as possible to make it look nice, and just fill if there are any holes, any creeper holes, any cave systems, I'd recommend filling those in and just smoothing out the terrain. Here there are a whole lot of bumps and it goes up a lot, but then up toward the top it only goes up by one block or so, and so it looks a little odd, and so I'm adding this second raised section to give it some more character, make it feel more natural. Here I'm putting out the layout for a bridge I'm gonna make in an episode or two. It's gonna go across that gorge, and bridges, they're good for depending on how wide they are. Here I'm making a path. Path is gonna go up a main street, and then there's gonna be a fountain in the middle with the path circling it. When it comes to paths, you gotta try and keep it relatively simplistic. If you have too much detail, it might draw attention away from the buildings, which we don't want. So try and make it smooth, and don't have just a completely straight path, because that won't look good. It needs to wind, and it needs to be a winding path. It needs to go from left to right. And then here, decent circle. Not my finest work, but it'll do. Try and make it look like it's been walked on a lot. And you can do that by, on the edges, if you put what's it called? Coarse dirt. That makes it look like the edges of the path where it's been walked on a little bit less. So in the middle, the dirt has all been packed down and it feels very, walked on. But toward the edges, near the grass, people walk on that less. And so you're more prone to think, oh, this is the edge of the path. I should stay away from that area and stay toward the middle. And because you're trying to find the most direct path to the middle. And so because people sometimes veer off from that, you're going to make it sort of sporadic and make it sort of spread out like tendrils or something. Here I'm just adding a path up to the house, which I think looks decent, but when you're going into houses, people are walking in there a lot, so you're gonna mostly be path blocks, not really any other coarse dirt. And then here in the middle, I'm trying to make it spread out to where, there are little bits of wood to make it seem like rockier parts of the path, because there's not really a rock block. I don't know what I'm saying. But in the middle here, normally in a town, you want a main focal point. So for me, that is this fountain. If you're on the bridge walking, you'll see your eyes are going to follow the path, and it's going to lead your eyes to the fountain. Alright, up here, I'm just fixing up the terrain a bit more. And what we're going to do next is we're going to put down some layouts for some buildings. It doesn't have to be accurate. You can change it later. Doesn't really matter. But I'm putting these down just to get a rough idea of how many buildings I'm going to have in this town, how far apart they're going to be, things like that. You can throw in some diagonals, but diagonal buildings are kind of difficult to build and make look good because of the windows. But you just want to sort of line the streets on either side. Make it feel close together and tight knit, but don't make them feel so tight where it's sort of suffocating and you can't see the forest beyond. You can add in whatever kind of building you want. It doesn't really matter. They could all be townhouses. There could be hotels, taverns, cafes, whatever you want. But the goal is to just make it feel lived in and like it's a town or a village or whatever, and just make it feel, integrated. So yeah, that's what you want it to feel like. And toward the outskirts, you can have some smaller buildings, some sheds, some, stables if you want for horses, because all the townspeople who are coming here to visit will need somewhere to put their horses. And that's what I'm doing up here toward the bridge. So across from that house with the blue roof, I might have a wheat field going down the hill behind those houses. Or maybe a little alleyway. I might take out that middle house. I'm not sure. Whatever I feel in the moment. But you just want to fill in any caves you see, any that you missed before, things like that. And then you're going to want to plant in some trees to allow it... What's the word I'm looking for? You just want to plant in some trees to, once again, make it feel close to the forest to where you have enough space but not too much. And if there are weird little gaps, it'll look kind of odd. That's about it. Those are some basic tips on how to make your village feel more detailed and how you get that started. Thanks for watching.